What is up, guys? It's Doodoo Poker here, back for another video. Today we are going to ask ourselves a question and hopefully answer this question. Should we donk flops in 3-bet pots? Well, the first thing we need to answer is, what is a theoretical donking spot? We have some MDA. We're going to do some node locking in GTO Wizard. We have some artificial intelligence data, so let's get into it. Let's look at preliminary data for two very common spots. The first spot is the field as the 3-bet pot in position pre-flop raiser, cut off first button. What do you guys notice? You notice there's not really an overfold and they under raise, so we're really not incentivized to donk lead in this formation. But let's look at a different formation. Let's look at small blind versus big blind 3-bet. If I look at small blind versus big blind 3-bet, I do start to notice something. I notice they are slightly overfolding a bit overall, and they are slightly over raising a bit. So let's do some calculations. I'm going to show you artificial intelligence data for small blind versus big blind 3-bet. We're going to take a bunch of boards that should be donk led on. We're going to compare them to artificial intelligence. What do you guys notice from this data? In this data, I'm donking 1/4 on the flop. I am in the small blind versus a big blind 3-bet. It's a 3x versus 10x 3-bet. And we have all these boards that are high frequency donk leads on the left. And we're comparing the call percentage in GTO versus the call percentage in AI, the raise percentage in GTO versus the raise percentage in AI, and the fold percentage in GTO versus the fold percentage in AI. What do you guys notice? You're noticing that population does not play anywhere close to GTO. Not only are they raising more than they should be, sometimes as much as 30% in a spot like an ace-9-8 two-tone board where I get a 55% donk lead and I should have a 0% raising range, but they're not going to be folding enough. They're only folding more than GTO on the low boards. This is really important to understand, because what we're going to do is we're going to go into GTO Wizard and start node locking tendencies, and we're going to see how our strategy changes to exploit this deviation from GTO. Let's take the first board, the ace-9-8 two-tone board. We see, let's go to GTO, and if I run a sim, and I'm in the small blind and the big blind 3-bets, and I decide to call, and the flop comes, ace of diamonds, 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts. What do we notice? Well, I'm going to go into the AI in a second, but we notice that there is a huge donk frequency, 55%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the AI, and I'm going to see what the call, fold, raise percentages are versus a donk 25% on the flop. We see there's a 0% donking raising range. We also see them only folding 19% and calling around 81%. Now let's look at the data from the artificial intelligence. People are not playing like this. From the data in the artificial intelligence, which is MDA, they call 59, they're raising around 26, and they're folding around 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to node lock these tendencies, and I'm going to show you how this strategy changes. So what we're going to do here is I node locked these tendencies, 26.2, 59, and 14.8. And now instead of donking 53%, and if they raise, well, they don't raise because it's not a GTO, calling with all these ace-x, what happens here is if I node lock my opponent to raising 26%, calling 59 and folding 15, something happens. Watch the GTO solution. Small blind now donks almost range. Why? Because it's going to be higher EV. All of these hands, like pocket sevens, ace jack, we want to donk on the flop. Why do we want to donk these hands on the flop? Because our opponents are playing face up. You're never supposed to have a raising range as the big blind versus a 25% donk lead. We see this in the GTO solution, right? If we donked 25%, you're never ever supposed to raise. People do not play like this. People are going to raise a hand like, well, what do you think people are going to raise? They're going to raise a hand like ace king. They're going to raise a hand like ace queen. They're definitely going to raise a hand like pocket nines and pocket eights. They're going to raise a hand like 9-8 suited. Probably a lot of combo draws like jack 10 of hearts. Maybe a hand like 7-6 of hearts. So what we do as an exploit is we donk more, but when they raise, we play a jam or fold strategy. Why do we play a jam or fold strategy? What we do is we fast play our value like ace 9, ace 8, pocket nines, pocket eights, but we start folding the weak ace X because the opponent is playing ace king and ace queen as a raise. That means they're playing face up, so we can fold our weak ace X and we jam to cooler ace king. We jam with ace 9, ace 8, pocket nines, and pocket eights. So what you see in the solution is you almost never call. You only jam or fold. Because if I jam, my opponent is supposed to fold a hand like ace king some of the time. Now, they're never going to fold ace king here. So what we do is we fast play our value. Let's go back to notes. What we see is 2 or maybe 3 distinct patterns. We see the GTO solution raises much less. In this case, it's 0% versus donk leads. The second pattern that we see is the GTO solution folding more than population in most spots. In this spot, what do we see? Well, we see they are going to be folding 5% less than theory. The only exception is on the low boards, where they are still over raising, in fact, by a lot, but they are going to also overfold. So in order to exploit this tendency, we start donking more value hands and less bluffs, but we fold our weak ace X because they're going to fast play ace king and ace queen. They're letting us off easy. We also know if they call, now we can bluff turns and rivers because they are capped. So when we donk on the flop, we're almost donking range, and they raise, we play a jam or fold strategy. We fold our weak ace X, but we jam our 2 pair and sets to cooler ace king and ace queen. So there's a lot going on in this spot. What we need to do here is this. We need to think about, why am I doing this? Well, I don't want to lose more than 1 street with ace X because our opponents are playing face up. We actually get off very easy with a hand like ace 4 suited. If I donk flop with ace 4 suited in this spot and my opponent raises, I just have a really easy fold. Whereas if I had checked and he bets and I probably call, and then maybe I call one more street on the turn or river, so I actually gain EV by donking more with my weak ace X. I also gain EV by donking with a hand like 2 pair or a set because he's going to play face up. When he raises, I play a jam or fold strategy and cooler hands like ace king and ace queen. So a lot going on in this video, but it's very important to understand how population plays versus how a solver plays. They almost never align. In this particular situation, there's huge discrepancies. We know we want to donk more than theory. When they raise, we jam our value, we fold our weak ace X. On the lower boards, we know they actually overfold, but they're also over raising versus a donk lead. So a couple important points here. I thought this was an interesting spot. When you're in these types of spots, you want to donk lead more than theory to maximally exploit your opponents. If you enjoy this type of content, please give me a like, please give me a subscribe. New video every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.